The cameras were rolling, the lights beaming down, and the energy inside the WNBA press room was high. Angel Reese had just finished another dominant performance, securing a double-double that helped her team clinch a crucial victory. She was used to this, answering questions, handling the press with her signature mix of confidence and charisma. But today felt different. "Angel," a reporter called from the front row, raising a hand. "Tonight, we saw another incredible performance from you, your aggression on the boards, your leadership, your fire. Can you talk about what motivates you to play with such intensity every night?" Angel adjusted the mic in front of her, her signature grin flashing briefly before she took a breath. She had answered this question 100 times before. Usually, she'd say something about wanting to win, proving doubters wrong, or carrying the legacy of women's basketball forward. But today, something tugged at her differently. Her fingers clenched slightly against the table. "My mom," she said softly. A pause. The room, filled with murmuring reporters typing away at their keyboards, suddenly quieted. Angel exhaled, her eyes flickering down for a moment before she looked back up. "Everything I do, everything I am, is because of my mom." And just like that, her voice cracked. Long before Angel Reese became a household name, she was just a little girl running up and down a cracked Baltimore sidewalk, dribbling a basketball that was too big for her hands. Her mother, Angel Reese Sr., had been her first coach, her first rival, her first fan. "Don't baby the ball," her mother had said, standing in their tiny apartment's kitchen, stirring a pot of gumbo. "Strong hands, Angel. Strong like you." At 7 years old, Angel would try to do just that, palming the ball, holding it firm like the WNBA players she admired. But more than teaching her basketball, her mother taught her toughness. "When the world sees you, Angel, they won't always see the real you," her mother had told her once after a rough day at school. "They'll see what they want to see. So you make sure you show them what you want to be remembered for." Angel never forgot that. She carried it through middle school, through grueling practices, through nights where exhaustion and doubt crept in. And she carried it onto the court every single game. The worst day of Angel's life came when she was 18. A scholarship in her back pocket, a bright future ahead, but one phone call changed everything. Her mother had been sick for months, hiding it behind a strong front, still showing up to games with the same energy, still telling Angel she was unstoppable. But she wasn't. And neither was time. When Angel got the call, she rushed to the hospital, her sneakers barely tied, her heart slamming against her ribs. Her mother was weak, her voice barely above a whisper. But when Angel took her hand, the same fire she had always known was still in her mother's eyes. "Don't cry, baby," her mom murmured. Angel was already failing at that. "Mom, you listen to me," her mother interrupted, squeezing her hand. "This game, this life, you keep playing, you hear me?" Angel nodded through the tears. "You win for you, but you also win for me." Her mother's fingers tightened around her one last time. "I'm always with you." And then she was gone. The night before her first official WNBA game, Angel sat alone in her apartment, staring at the ceiling. The city outside buzzed with life, but inside it was silent, except for the memories echoing in her mind. She traced her fingers over a folded letter sitting on the table. It was old now, the edges worn, the ink slightly smudged from the times she had held it too tightly with tear-stained fingers. Her mother's handwriting. "Angel, if you're reading this, it means you're about to take the next big step. I always knew you'd get here. But don't let it change you. Stay hungry. Stay kind. Stay you. And no matter where I am, I'm still watching." She shut her eyes. It had been years since that hospital room. Years since she held her mother's hand for the last time. But sometimes, when the world got too loud, when the pressure threatened to crush her, she could still hear her mother's voice. "You keep playing, you hear me?" Angel folded the letter carefully, placing it back into her bag. Tomorrow, she would step onto the biggest stage of her life. And she would do it for her mother. The WNBA season was already in full swing, and Angel had made an undeniable impact. The fans loved her energy, her passion, the way she hustled for every rebound like it was her last. But tonight was different. As she sat in front of the press after a hard-fought win, she expected the usual questions about the game. Then came the question that caught her off guard. "Angel," the reporter asked, voice steady but soft, "we know you've been playing at an incredibly high level, but we also know this season is special for you. Can you share what's driving you to play with so much heart?" Angel opened her mouth to answer, but the words caught in her throat. She swallowed, took a breath. Then, barely above a whisper, she said, "My mom." The reporters went still. She exhaled, staring down at the microphone. "Everything I do, everything I am, is because of her." Her voice cracked on the last word. She hadn't meant for the tears to come. Hadn't meant for the world to see her this vulnerable. But she couldn't stop them. "She never got to see me play in the WNBA," she admitted. "She was my biggest fan, my first coach, my best friend. And she's not here to see this." She wiped her eyes with the sleeve of her jersey. "But I know she's watching." The room was silent except for the faint clicks of cameras capturing the moment. Angel cleared her throat, forcing a smile through the tears. "Every game, every win, it's for her." The press conference ended, but the impact had just begun. Within hours, the video spread like wildfire. Social media exploded with clips of Angel's tearful interview. Fans shared their own stories of playing for loved ones who had passed. Players from across the league and even the NBA reached out with messages of support. "I felt that. Angel Reese is playing for something bigger than basketball." Candace Parker, "Much love and respect to Angel. Moms never leave us, they just watch from a different seat." LeBron James, the way she spoke about her mother. "I lost mine too. I know exactly what that pain feels like." Sue Bird fans flooded the comments, sharing their own experiences. "I lost my mom 2 years ago. Watching Angel play with that kind of love and dedication makes me feel like I'm not alone. My dad used to tell me the same thing, I'm always watching." This hit me hard. Angel didn't expect the reaction. She had just spoken from the heart, letting the world in for a brief moment. Now that moment had turned into something bigger than herself. The night of the next game, the arena was packed. But it wasn't just another game. It was Mother's Night. Angel had no idea the league had planned it this way. Fans in the crowd held signs that read "For her," inspired by Angel's words. Her teammates wore warm-up shirts with the words "Playing for Someone" printed across the front. Angel stood at center court during the national anthem, her heart pounding. Then, the announcer's voice rang out through the stadium. "Tonight, Angel Reese plays not just for herself, not just for her team, but for the woman who made her who she is. Let's take a moment to honor all the mothers who have shaped us into the people we are today." The crowd erupted into applause. Angel blinked rapidly, staring up at the rafters. "She's watching." Then the game started. From the very first possession, Angel played like a woman on a mission. Every rebound, every putback, every defensive stop, it was all fueled by something deeper than competition. She wasn't just playing for points. She was playing for legacy. The game was tied in the final seconds. Angel grabbed an offensive rebound, muscled her way up, and scored through contact. And won. The arena exploded. She walked to the free throw line, breathing heavily. The crowd was deafening. But in her mind, everything went silent. She bounced the ball once. Twice. Then she closed her eyes. "Strong hands, Angel. Strong like you." She exhaled, opened her eyes, and took the shot. Swish. Game 1. Angel turned, pointing both fingers upward as she walked off the court. Because some people leave this world, but they never truly leave us. After the game, Angel sat alone in the locker room, staring at her jersey. She traced her fingers over the fabric, remembering all the nights she had spent dreaming of this moment. Her phone buzzed. It was a message from her aunt. "She would be so proud of you, Angel. I hope you know that." Angel smiled, closing her eyes. She did know. And that was all she needed. As long as she played, as long as she fought, her mother's legacy would live on. Not just in trophies. Not just in wins. But in every game, every shot, every moment. Forever.